I'm Debbie Martin. Welcome to the Martin's Training Center. Let me tell you a bit about my background and how this came to be. I started out as a family doctor. I was doing family obstetrics, emergency, loved Emerge, and then ended up doing that full and part-time for about 25 years. And then partway along there, about 10 years into it, I thought that I would like to do something that didn't involve, staying up all night and so on. So I started doing veins, and I absolutely love doing sclerotherapy. I started in 1995. I love it. I keep doing it because of how much I love it. At the same time, the people who wanted sclerotherapy also wanted to have things like Botox and fillers. So I learned how to do that about 15 years ago and got better and better at it. And then we found those people wanted to have laser, and so we brought in lasers. And over time, I became significantly better at things like business and marketing and all the things that you need to run a successful business. So what I'd like to do for you is to transfer all that information to you. If you end up coming to the Everything course, let me tell you a little bit about what that involves. We spend the first 2 days doing Botox and filler. So throughout those 2 days, you're going to have a lot of hands-on practice, which is going to work out well because before the course, we're going to send you a bunch of videos and some reading material, and you'll have your understanding, up to a certain level, and then when you actually get to the course, you'll be ready to start just doing injections, one after another. So people find that they're getting plenty of time to actually practice the skills and get it sorted out in their head exactly how to approach each patient. So what we do is on the first day, I teach you the recipe. And what that means is that I have a standardized way to do Botox and fillers that works well for almost everybody. Gives you a really sound foundation on which to plan everything else. And by everything else, I mean on the second day, then we get to the artistic side of it, where you start to play with the recipe for that individual. And you'll find yourself really understanding how to manipulate a few units here and a few units there, or a bit of filler and so on, to really come with the outcome that the client is hoping for and really make them look younger. And what I'm always after is to make people feel better. And you tend to feel better when you look younger and you look better. So we found that at the end of that Monday, Tuesday, most of the injectors that we train are able to go out and get started doing injections right away. In fact, we encourage it. We want you to get out started injecting people within a couple of weeks or a month after you do the training course. And you've got all the skills that you're going to need to do that. So then that brings us to Wednesday. Wednesday is focusing on business and lasers. Traditionally, medical practitioners don't receive any formal training in business. So it was up to me when I wanted to figure this out. I had to do it for myself. So I went literally around the world and studied business in various sectors and then brought back all that information to here. In addition to that, just having owned a business for that period of time and participating when I teach people in their businesses and learning from them, I developed this method that allows you to be successful without making too many errors. There's a bunch of things that you need to know. The biggest one probably has to be marketing. We're not used to having to market ourselves. This will teach you how to get the patients through the door. The thing is that if you learn how to do Botox and fillers really well, that's great, but the business itself is not going to be successful until you get people through the door to get your services. Somehow you need to communicate to them that A, you're trained, B, you're good at it, C, you'd really like to see them. So we spend a lot of time talking about marketing, and that might involve website marketing or radio or newspaper or all the different methods that are available that I'm able to talk to you about. We also spend a significant amount of time talking about money, and that is how you're going to collect the money, how you're going to pay your bills, what about the GST or HST as it is in Canada, what about paying your employees, how much do you pay them, if you're with another company or organization like you work for someone else, what's the split going to be on the Botox filler for you versus them? What kind of insurance do you have to pay for? How do you pay for your supplies? Where do you get your supplies? How many do you need? What about overhead expenses? Who pays for the rent? All those kind of things will enter into our discussion as well. Also, we talk a lot about staffing. So it might be that you're working for someone else or someone else is working for you. And if that's the case, then what's the rate of pay? How do you split the profits? Who gets paid for what? How do you find staff? How do you maintain them once you found them? What's an appropriate salary base? What's a bonus structure look like? What about benefits? All that kind of stuff, we cover that too. We talk about medical records, scheduling, billing practices, what to do with the photographs that you've taken, also relationship with suppliers, how to develop a relationship and get product from them, how to get advertising materials. So there are a lot of things that are covered in the business course, and then when we get to the end of that, then I introduce you to the whole laser field, because the thing is that a lot of the patients, even if you're only doing Botox and fillers, a lot of your patients are going to want to know something about laser, and they expect that you're going to know something about laser, which is why I think it's important that you take this part of the course. Laser is a really interesting field because unlike Botox and fillers, you have to spend a big amount of money to get going in lasers. Botox, you buy the bottle, you sell the bottle. Same with fillers. Same with veins for that matter. But in terms of laser, you really have to purchase this big machine, and so you need to make an informed decision about which machine you want, what salesman you want to deal with, whether there's consumables involved and so on, and what's the difference between a bunch of different lasers. So there's true lasers, and then there's IPL, and then there's radio frequency. So it's worth knowing sort of the basics of what lasers are all about, and then you can make a better and informed decision if you decide to go into the laser market. So sclerotherapy is another 2 days, and that is where my heart originally lay. I still love sclero so much. And I think that you'll find that this is a really fun part of the course. There is more to learn prior to sclerotherapy. So there's quite a large medical component to sclero. So you'll spend 6 or 8 hours going through videos on end of me talking about sclerotherapy, which I think is valuable because once again, you look at all that stuff ahead of time, and by the time you get here, you're going to have a very solid foundation on which to do your hands-on part. And that's exactly what's going to happen. By the time you get through the door, we're going to put your needle in your hand and you'll just be going ahead and injecting spider and varicose veins. Don't worry, we're not going to give you the real stuff to inject right off the bat. But we find that the learning environment is just great when we just jump in with people because all of a sudden the questions start to flow, and frankly it becomes more fun. Because if you were just going to a class where it's bum, boring lecture after lecture, that's not fun. I don't do things that aren't fun. What's fun for me is to get you started doing the injections right away, and then all of a sudden, the light comes on, and then it all starts to make sense, and the learning environment just gets so much better. So I have found that the people who come for a whole week for the Everything course really benefit the most from all of this. You don't have to do the Everything course all at once. You could do like 2 days at first and then another 3 or whatever. You can split it up. But the people who come and stay for a week, my comments that I get back is lots of hands-on, lots of fun, great learning environment. And the ones who didn't stay or book to stay say, I wish I had. I wish that I had more time. I wish that I'd come to the business course because I made all these mistakes. So my final summary here is that I would suggest to you, if you can possibly make it, come for the full 5-day course. Then you would get Botox filler, business, which is critical, introduction to lasers, microdermabrasion, and sclerotherapy. And at the end of that time, you're going to be in a really good position to go out there and get started in your own medical aesthetics practice. And you'll have a relationship then with us so that we can support you in doing that. So if you have any further questions about it, please feel free to email or call the 1-800 number and we'd be happy to talk to you. Otherwise, I hope to see you in Barrie sometime soon.